What's going on, everybody? The Scene Snob here with the Scene Snob reviews, and I'm doing Picard episode 4. If you've been following along, I've done the first 3 episodes, so I'm just sticking to it. And we came back, and the episode is Absolute Candor, and it was actually directed by Jonathan Frakes, which is pretty cool. And he wasn't in this episode. We know he's coming back. He's going to play Riker, and Deanna Troy, Martina Sirtis is coming back and such. So really looking forward to that. But Jonathan Frakes came back and directed this one, and I have to say, you notice it. Like the writing, it was just Michael Chabon wrote this episode. And just to kind of get into it, I'm not really going to give too much up. I don't want to spoil too much. If you saw my last review, I said I don't want to spell everything out. I kind of want to tighten up these videos a little bit. But so basically, this now that we have Picard on his way, they're going to Free Cloud. They're to find Bruce Maddox. That's their first part of their mission. We have Picard and company on their ship, La Serena, and you just kind of get a general feel for the crew and like how they're living and everything's going on. So Rios, you find out in a very weird way, has multiple holograms that I guess he worked with. I guess there's something there that I'm very interested in about what happened with him in Starfleet. I'm wondering if he lost his crew and it was just too close, too painful for him or whatever, and that's why he only uses holograms. But we'll see because he was very receptive in accepting Picard and his company on the ship. Either way, so it's just interesting. So basically we got a little bit of backstory. There was a planet, Vashta, excuse me if I'm saying that wrong, where they were relocating Vulcans, and Picard was working with this like nun covenant type group of not Vulcans, I'm sorry, Romulans, and he took to a little boy named Elnon, and he was training him how to fence, things like that, and this kid grew up to become a lethal assassin, and for good. That's Romulans, assassins in this group they're out to help. They bond with somebody. And so he decides to go back and see everything. And everything's kind of wiped out. Like, all the good that he had intended has been like kind of washed away since Starfleet. And he essentially had abandoned everybody. And he wanted to go, and he needed one of these like nuns or such, assassin nuns, to come and like help him along his journey. And he wound up taking the boy. Well, he's a man now, but he wound up taking him back. So you get some very cool things. Like, I like the idea, like we're learning more and more about the Romulan culture, and I dig that because it was very generalized through the movies and the TV shows. So, but I do like that what they're doing with it. So definitely interesting. Can't wait to see where this goes. We do get a very weird romantic date type situation between Soja and Narek. It just seemed out of place, the whole thing. Like, it was just weird because last week everything with Soja, Asha, and Hugh and Narek has all been very interesting, and I was kind of like cooling off on everything that Picard was going through. But with this week, I didn't even want to be on the Borg cube. I was interested in what was going on with Picard and happening there, because yes, we're off Earth and he's on a different planet now, and we're kind of traveling around, but we find out that there's raiders that have an old bird of prey, Klingon bird of prey, and they go around and they're raiders, I guess they call them, and they kind of took over the territory. So when they get back to the ship, we have that bird of prey attacking the ship, and then we get another ship coming in to help them, and we find out once that ship was about to blow up, they beamed her off. And I kind of gave it up, but it was 7 of 9. So we do have 7 of 9 back. So this episode was definitely a filler, but it had a lot of action with the bird of prey coming up and the ships kind of fighting each other, dogfighting. So it was very interesting in that sense. We had some good action with that Elnon coming in and just tearing it up. Like, he's a terrific warrior assassin, and you can tell he's been training for years, but there's a chip on his shoulder with Picard. But he does take up his cause. So we are adding layers now. Like, where they were building questions, now they're adding layers to each character, and I'm kind of digging that. Like, I'm questioning about Rios and why Rios has mostly hologram crew. that all look like him, but in different variations. Like his navigator was a Jason Momoa looking guy, but it was him. Then he has his Irish version of himself, who is the hospitality hologram around the ship. So you have a lot of different things. So like I'm questioning about him. I want to know more about him. You have Alison Pill's character Agnes. You're questioning her and her motives because she met with Commander O. Rafi and she seem to have some beef, so that's pretty cool. 7 and 9's back, so what's going on? That's our favorite Borg turn back to human. So we'll see what happens there. So a lot of exciting layers, and to see what happens between Elnor and Picard. So seems like next is going to kind of gear up a little bit more. We're going to see like the big, maybe they find Maddox and go from there and see what's what. But it was an interesting episode. I was definitely a lot happier with this episode than I was in the past. They are making up for Picard's age. Because Pastor Stewart is an older man. He can't do the action like he used to. So we're seeing some cool things along the way. So I'm very excited right now to see where it goes. The third episode kind of left me a little bit deterred by that, sticking with it. But, I was going to. I was always going to give it a little bit more. But it kind of, for me, I really liked the first episode. It kind of slumped in the second and third episode. And fourth kind of brought me back. So, and like I said, I was glad to see Jonathan Frakes do it. And he pulled off a really cool starship fight. And I'm anxious to see where they go from here. So now we have 7 and 9 on the ship. We don't know why she's there. We don't know what's going on or how she's involved in all this. But I'm definitely interested. But with that being said, I want to know what you guys think. Did you like the episode? Did you not like the episode? Let me know in the comments below, or you can message me. We can always talk about it. Give us a like and subscribe and hit the notifications button. We have a ton of shows. Go to thescenesnobs.com. They're all there in the main hub. You can check out the videos or check out the sound files. We have a ton more coming. New filmmaking show, Pulling Focus, is coming out. And that's myself and Brian Patrick from the Skyline Indie Film Festival. We're going to be hosting it. Rob Gosher and I, who he guested on this week's Scene Snobs podcast. We are going to be doing our own show called Beyond the Box, and we talked about cult classics, things like that, and like video store finds, like that we used to find in the video store back then, those movies. Not necessarily the, mainstream or art house, but the campy and the fun. So with that, we got tons more stuff. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and at The Scene Snob, Facebook, The Scene Snobs page. You can find me anywhere, and I always respond. So have a good time. This has been Picard. I will see you next week for the next Picard. And check out the Scene Snob reviews, because we have a lot of stuff coming out then. I think I'm going to see Sonic this weekend, so I'll probably do one for them too. All right, thanks very much, and have a good one.